Jazz keys, keys.
Today we're going to talk about the 5 steps to emotional freedom. If you are not emotionally free, then you are in fact a slave to your emotions, or you're delicately threading between the 2 extremes. What does that mean? One right or wrong move could have you back in emotional captivity. For example, we might begin our day in a joyous spirit until, our child spills milk all over their clothes. Frustration. We go out to start our car and it doesn't start. Anger. Say you get to work and you forget that you have a huge presentation due. Anxiety. Well, that's until your best friend gives you a call and says, hey, let's go to lunch. Relief. Slavery in its most simplistic form can best be defined as when you permit your past, your mistakes, and your experiences to hold you hostage emotionally, you forfeit all power you have in your life. What does that look like? It looks a lot like self-sabotage in the form of abuse of drugs, alcohol, sex, women, men, under eating. It looks a lot like isolating yourself from everyone mentally, emotionally, and physically, or making any and everyone else a victim of your anger, frustration, and sadness. So today we'll talk about exactly what it means to be emotionally enslaved, how to acquire emotional freedom, and how to do that in 5 steps. 5 steps to emotional freedom. Number 5, stop playing the blame game. The key to emotional freedom is number 1, accepting that you have to take responsibility for your happiness. One of the most challenging parts of emotionally freeing yourself is to understand that no one else is at fault for where you are in your life at this very moment. So back in the day, I used to be a straight hothead. I mean, a legit hothead. I would fly off the handle at anybody who tried me. I didn't care who you were, who your mama was, where you came from. I did not like to be challenged. And that came from being probably like bullied when I was growing up. And so once I got to that place where it was like, I ain't gonna let nobody walk over me, I did not care who you were. My mouth was out of control. And I would usually respond by saying something like, it's not my fault you're sensitive, or if you weren't so stupid, I wouldn't have to snap. You have to take ownership of your emotions. It was nobody else's fault that I was that damn angry inside. It was all me. So I had to stop playing the victim and learn how to handle my emotions for myself. Step number 4 is to emotional freedom. You have to assess the company that you keep. If you are truly attempting to free yourself emotionally, you cannot be in the company of people who make you feel like anger and frustration and hatred is a normal state of being. Messy people hang with messy people. I remember the exact moment when I realized that I was in the company of sharks and I could swim with them. I was at a house party, and at this point in time it was fun to drink, to do all types of stuff that I won't mention here, but we used to kick it hard. At that time, we got enjoyment out of talking about other people. So we'd be scrolling down our Facebook, and at that time we had MySpace too. I mean, we could pass a drink, kick it, hang out, and literally the whole night would be discussing other people's lives. Girl, what do this bitch got on? Is it gay for men to take that many selfies? We get it. You go to church. You praise the Lord. You have to assess the company that you keep. If you truly hope to move yourself from slavery to freedom, you cannot run with people who do not want to be free. Make sure that you are in the presence of individuals who know what it's like to wake up every day and love life. Not your current state of being, it can motivate you and encourage you to get to that place. Step number 3, understanding the power of your thoughts. Oftentimes people do not understand that everything you think, if not now, will eventually manifest in your life. Therefore, if you begin to look at the world from a jaded perspective where there is no hope, there is no empowerment, there is no better life, eventually, if not now, that will constantly be your state of being. You have to learn how to manage your thoughts. You do that through a variety of different ways. One is affirmations. It's waking up every day and speaking power into your life. Today I'm going to be great. Today I am no longer going to be depressed. I'm going to smile even if I don't feel like it. These are affirmations and powerful ways to start your day. Another way is positive self-talk. That's every time a negative emotion enters your head, you combat it with a positive one.
Oh, I just look so fat today.
Using just simple techniques like positive affirmations and avoiding negative self-talk can literally change and shift your mental capacity in the way that you think about life and the way you think about emotions. Look close. You're beautiful. And every time you allow those negative thoughts to come in your mind and you beat yourself up, you constantly diminish your beauty. Step number 3 is to understand that you are in a mental game. And it's all about being positive in your thoughts and allowing that to manifest in your life. Every time you begin to tell yourself you're ugly, you're fat, you're unworthy, combat those thoughts with positive things like how fierce your eyebrows look today, or how fabulous your hair is, or the fact that those boots are just everything.
I am beautiful.
See, negative self-talk is the fastest way that we can enter into emotional slavery. Change your mind, change your life. Step number 2, and this is a powerful one, it's getting rid of your wounded self and functioning in your core self. There's a lot of things that you may be carrying on you that do not belong to you. So in this step, to get to emotional freedom, you have to get rid of your wounded self and walk and operate and function in your core self. So for example, the feelings of self-hatred may have come from people telling you that you're pretty for a dark-skinned girl. Or deep-rooted feelings of inadequacy may actually be the property of people who told you that you weren't smart enough, you weren't good enough, you weren't worthy enough. Depression may have very well come from the fact that you found yourself twisted up in an abusive, mentally, emotionally, physical relationship. So here you are carrying around all these wounds from childhood up until now and attempting to find your way in this world. Emotional freedom requires you to heal those wounds in order to really get in tune with your core identity and to walk in that person. The infamous, you got good hair. These are things that we don't even realize the impact that they have on the self-image of children and even young teenagers and adults. You're too tall, you're too short, you're too big, you're too thin. Or things like, wow, you really talk good for a black girl. You give back the things that do not belong to you so that you can step in and fully walk in who you truly are. Step number 2 to emotional freedom is ridding yourself of your wounds and walking in your core self. The number 1 and final step to emotional freedom is forgiveness. Not just forgiveness of others, but forgiveness of yourself. I read a quote by Corrie ten Boom that said, forgiveness is probably the most challenging aspect of emotional freedom because there's a lot of us walking around holding on and waiting for apologies that we'll never get. So while there's times and opportunities where we wish that someone who had wronged us or someone who had caused us and inflicted pain on us would just admit to it, he's not going to admit it or give us some type of peace or an apology. That may never happen. In order to truly get to emotional freedom, you have to understand that by holding on to the weight of things that you've experienced, whether they be self-inflicted or at the hands of someone else, is only a burden to your spirit and your soul. Don't ask people to step outside of their nature. You have to own your own process. Forgiveness has to happen whether or not somebody admits to wronging you. To get to emotional freedom, you have to understand that by holding on to things that rot your spirit, only you die. In order to get to a place where you are at peace emotionally, you have to forgive others, even if the apology is not extended. And more importantly, you have to forgive yourself. So to review, the 5 steps to emotional freedom. Number 5, stop playing the victim. Step number 4, assess the company that you keep. Step number 3, understanding the power of your thoughts. Step number 2, functioning in your core self. Number 1 is forgiveness. At the core, we all have the ability to be emotionally stable, emotionally liberated, emotionally content and happy.